Yo, yo, what's up? My name is John Waymeyer. We're here in my studio in Burbank, California. In honor of Bunker Preroll hitting 2 million plays, I wanted to do a little breakdown of the beat. So let's get into it. All right, so we've got the beat right here. Let's get everything in the screen. All right, so here's the entirety of the beat. It all started back in September of last year. Was in the studio working on some beats, working on some samples. J-Mac, asked for a specific kind of vibe, sent over some different references, some feels, and basically I started with this bass line, which is the basis of the whole song. So I'll play this solo real quick. And then it repeats. So before we move on, one important thing about this bass line is that basically the form of the song is an 8-bar blues. So not to get too deep into the theory, but 8-bar blues is just the first 8 bars of a 12-bar blues. And in a 12-bar blues, you have in a particular key the one chord, which is going to be the major chord. So in this case, I can't entirely remember, but I think we're in B. Let's see. Let's put a tuner on real quick. Yeah, we're just going to say that it's in B. But I can't quite remember, and I don't feel like figuring it out. But anyways, so say we're in B. We have 4 bars of the one chord. So we have this same pattern, this dum ba dee da dum bika dum dee dum, and then it repeats 4 times. 3, 4. Then it goes up to the 4 twice. 2, and then back to the 1. Boom. Boom. Cool. So basically, that's the basis that everything, once I had that bass line, once I had that form, everything else kind of flowed from there. Before we move on, let's just talk about the processing on the bass, not too much. Just have a Teletronics LA2A doing a little bit of peak reduction and gain control. Have a little bit of transient master, just adding a little bit more bite to the attack. I played it with um, a muted feel, basically putting the heel of my hand on the bridge and playing with my thumb. So I just wanted to bring back a little bit of the transience of the attack. Um, we have a decapitator, basically adding a little bit of tone, a little bit of saturation, and then my favorite, one of my favorite EQs, probably my second favorite after Pro Q, is the API 560 UAD, just cutting off some highs, cutting out a little bit of the lows, and even boosting a little bit of the low mids and mids, just to give it a little bit of a different tone, a little bit rounder tone. So once we had that bass part, I added some chords, and basically for the electric guitar, I do a lot of doubling of guitar parts, usually an octave above or below. So let's listen to the first guitar, which is probably pitched as well. Let's see. Yeah, this is the lower one. And so it's still following the same form, but what makes this interesting is it starts off with the higher one chord, then it goes down to the 4, then it goes down to the lower one chord. Let's listen to the higher version of this. Oh, damn, it's the same thing. All right, so I guess I layered this twice, but they're exactly the same. And then on there, if I was to make everything dry, take off all the processing, take off the reverb, let's see what we got. So this was the original signal, and I'll bring it back up to the regular key. So this is the raw, excuse me, the raw electric. So then we took that down an octave, and we ended up adding a little bit of micro shift. This was a big part of my process back last year. I use Ubermod a lot more now, and some other things, but I was using micro shift a ton for just widening. API 560 again, this time cutting out a lot of lows, some highs, and then just a little bit of boosting in the mid. And then we have this Echo Boy on here. Very light. It's kind of like a spring verb preset, Essex spring verb. Low mix. And then a lot of the sustain and stuff is coming from this send with the plate, the Valhalla vintage verb. Think just stock setting, like the default setting that comes up. I just probably cut out, looks like I cut out a, low cut 310 hertz. But that's where most of that guitar sound's coming from. So if we put the guitar and the bass together, that low version, this is the beginning of the sort of bed that the drums were added to. So one chord, then it goes to the 4. And then we get the high version of the guitars. So here, so all these are normal pitch. Not sure why it's acting all weird, probably because these ones in here are different. That's hilarious. Never caught that, but doesn't matter. So these are all at the normal pitch, so they're higher. So these ones go down low, then it goes up high. I do a lot of like pitching of stuff to make things interesting. It's the same chords pretty much, but by changing the octave, keep stuff fresh. After I had that bed, right, with the guitars and the basses, we then added some drums. So I probably started off with the snare first, which I think looks like a day trip snare. So just on the 2 and 4, added some hi-hats. This was back when honestly I should be doing it more, but there's this thing called Kit Maker, which basically allows you to make kits out of entire packs of sounds that aren't necessarily in a drum rack. So basically, I took the Monty Booker kits and I threw them into Kit Maker, and then Kit Maker made a bunch of Ableton drum racks that just put stuff together. And this was the Monty Booker Sounds 15 kit. It ended up making like 16 or 17 of them, but this was 15, pulled it in. And I think most of the drums in here were made from this drum kit or something similar like that. But basically we had added the kicks and the snare and the hi-hat. Already kind of gets you that vibe, just a little 2-step. Mess with the velocities a little bit. Z4L hat. And then I was really liking these tape break cymbals at the time, which I was putting like every 8 bars. You'll hear it right here. And then obviously the kick, which looks like the LK kick, another Monty sound. And then over some processing before we talk about the intro, and then wrap it up. Kick, nothing on the cymbal. I often use Saturn, Fab Filter Saturn, on hi-hats. I kind of like how they saturate and make things cut through a little bit more. Then we had the Wonder Girl shaker thing. I think I probably just put a BX Control, just a glorified utility, basically making it mono. And then my favorite bus compressor, the Purple Audio MC77. I use this on every beat, every mix. I love this plugin. It's Plugin Alliance. I really like the mid side and just what you can do to clean and glue something up really, really, really clean with just a few turns of the knobs. All right, now last part is going to be this intro section. I often do intros that try and contrast the regular song. So in this case, we ended up taking just a few of the melodic elements and I threw them into a group with this RC20, basically Vinyl 1 preset, just modified a little bit. Looks like I made it fully mono. I also put on a Pro Q3, started with the phone filter and modified it a little bit. And then, yep, just the bass, the shaker, I think a different cymbal, potentially. And then the electric guitars, just the beginnings of them. So this is kind of what the intro sounds like, which sort of sets the stage for when the full bass drops. Also, with the bass, I think I added this Filter Freak, which basically just messes with the resonance and like kind of makes you feel the bass, but it's not the whole thing. And so when it fully drops, it's like, oof. This was the version the day I made the beat and sent it to Tommy and JMac. This literally was made in like a day. I came in here, made it in like 2 hours in the morning, sent it over, and by the afternoon, I'd already had a demo back, and I was like, what the hell? The only thing that got added for the ending is I think Tommy and JMac did some chops on the beat, rearranged some things, added some cuts here and there, and then we ended up adding like a synth solo line later, closer to when we dropped it. But this was the original beat session the day that I made it. So yeah, play one more time and we'll call it. If you guys have anything else you want me to break down, let me know. Be happy to do it. Maybe break down some of the sample pack. We shall see. Until next time.